All right, so Chief Barnes, again, thank you for sitting down and just chatting with us in your final hours here in office. First question, how are you feeling as you approach the conclusion of your tenure here in Madison? What's going through your mind?
I'm reflecting about the relationships that I've built and it's kind of sad because I'm going to miss speaking and talking to people that I've seen for the last 4 years, the internal relationships, the men and women here, the Madison Police Department, certainly going to miss them, and then all the work that we've done. We've done some really good work over the past 4 years, but I'm excited, and the department is in really good hands.
4 years, you were hired in February of 2021. So what are your accomplishments? What are you most proud of, and what do you think you maybe could have done a little bit better job of?
Sure. I think some of the things that I'm most proud of is that if you go back and you watch on YouTube my public statement, public interview with the Police Fire Commission, I talked about reducing crime, improving community relations, and then the safety and security of the officers and employees that are here. And I'm very proud that we were able to accomplish those things. We're able to turn the tide of community involvement by evidence of our partnerships and the people who are now allowing us to be in their space and giving us an opportunity to reintroduce ourselves to them. I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of the dramatic changes we've seen, reductions we've seen in our significant crime categories. Reductions in everything this year, with the exception of larceny from motor vehicle. But that crime was down so low, it's probably almost at a 10-year low, even compared to last year. So we've done some really good things. We've done some things that we've said to the community that we wanted to work on, and I'm very proud of that. Some things that I wish I could have done better, is that what you said? I think probably early on, more equity in my time. Spent a lot of time with community members, elected officials, officers, and then sometimes people felt that my energy was misplaced. I probably could have did a better job explaining why I was spending my time the way I was doing it. But, early on, working 12-hour days, there's only so many hours in the day. And then most importantly, when I first started, I had some fear about the direction and impression that I was leaving with people. And I wanted people to know how much I truly care about policing. And it kind of created, for at least a couple of weeks, a little bit of fear about doing the job. And then I just said to myself one day, you know what? Your fear of failure cannot be stronger than your will to succeed. And I just kind of changed my approach and made decisions more boldly, did more reading. I just kind of turned it on almost overnight and said, hey, if a decision is made and it's unpopular, but I did the right thing and someone doesn't like it, then I can't help that. If a community member doesn't understand why I'm taking this direction, I'll explain it to them, but then I have to move on because there's so many people counting on me, and I have to make sure that I'm doing the best job for everyone.
And we thank you for your transparency as you led this department here. As you depart, there are at least two significant ongoing investigations. We have, the ALCS shooting, which happened in December, and the Lux apartment shooting. So can you provide any updates on the status of those cases?
Yeah, sure. So we're at a good place in both of those cases. We're in the investigative phase. Obviously, with the Abundant Life Christian school shooting, the person who's responsible for that died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. But that doesn't mean we're not looking and investigating to determine how did this happen, what were the motives, and is there any lessons that can be learned that we can share with the entire world. So that's where we are with that. The detectives are running that part of the investigation, and to be honest with you, the chief's job is to support them and give them the tools that they need, and so we can do that from the chief's office here. The other is the Lux shooting. We did make an arrest in that case, and so we're moving forward with the prosecution there. We know that that was, if you will, a pop-up party where kids were going, or young people, I should say, were going to have unsanctioned parties. We've worked with the building to make sure that that doesn't happen. And then we actually put something out to all of our neighborhood resource officers to check with other apartment complexes to say, hey, did you know that this this community room or this rooftop should be locked and secured. And we're making sure that people know that this thing happened and it could have been prevented, we think, had we known about it, had people been more responsible. There's a lot that could have went into preventing something like that from happening. But even despite those two tragedies, those two celebrated cases, we still ended the year on a positive note, I think, overall with where we are with crime, with having less victims than we had the year before.
What advice would you give to your successor, someone who's going to walk into this position, something, a little nugget that maybe you wish you had when you began?
I would say make your decisions firmly and boldly. Understand that you have to do what's best for the entire Madison, not just one particular group. I'd say try to get sleep when you can. Take as many pictures as you can because time moves by very, very fast. Make sure you have a mentor and a confidant, and they shouldn't be the same person. And make sure that you realize that in every decision you make, the voice of those persons who are marginalized, that's going to be affected the most by your decision, are the voices that you should elevate.
Looking forward, you're about to embark on a new journey in Seattle. So what challenges do you foresee in Seattle, and particularly in light of recruitment difficulties and an increase in violent crime in that city?
Sure. I think the ongoing challenges that most police departments have seen or faced since 2021. I know that violent crime is going down in the city of Seattle, but one of the things that we'll work to do is to determine what type of violent crime do we have. We'll listen to the officers and commanders and people who have to do the work. We'll listen to the community members and elected officials, and we'll get their input, and we'll develop a crime reduction strategy immediately to address the type of crime that may be in Seattle. I think that's very important before you implement, that you clearly diagnose what's actually going on. Here we did that. We saw a lot of our crime was around property crime, specifically stolen auto, if you remember that back in 2021. And so we kind of made that the center focus. We were seeing people using stolen autos for burglaries, for robberies, for drugs, even for shooting into occupied dwellings. And so once we got a handle on the stolen cars here, we saw other crimes start to go down that were associated with that. And so we'll have a similar approach to diagnose what type of crime problem we have. We'll listen to the voices, we'll listen to every person, every officer that has an opinion, and we'll put together a crime reduction strategy, and we'll make sure that we do that. When it comes to recruitment and retention, it's all about process, and we have to look at what is the process, where's the bottlenecks, where do we see we're losing people, and how do we perhaps retain the people that may be looking elsewhere for positions. How soon can we get people on? Can we do a pre-hire program? If we have one, can we expand that program? And so everything is on the table when it comes to recruitment, retention of officers. We want to make sure that we can retain the good people that we have, and we want to make sure that we can also hire good people, and we can do it quickly.
Ready to hit the ground running, it sounds
We're
like.
ready.
Last few questions here. What factors influence your decision to leave Madison? Because there were talks, last year, I think maybe going to Chicago. So what made you want to look elsewhere? Yeah,
so 4 years is a long time as a police chief. This is certainly not a 9 to 5, 35, 40 hour a week job. It definitely takes a lot out of you. And I look at where I am in my life and with my age. I think this is like an opportunity that kind of came at the right time. I looked at the support that the Seattle Police Department has been committed from the mayor and from the city council, the community wanting to feel safer and be safer, the great work that they've done. And they're really a department, I believe, that's definitely poised to take the mantle of being one of the best police departments in the country. And so I believe I'm coming from one of the best police departments in the country, and I want to try to bring some good things to Seattle in cooperation with everyone there.
How would you define Chief Shon Barnes' lasting legacy here in Madison?
I think my lasting legacy is that I was an accessible chief. I was a strategic chief. I was a chief that believed in empowering people to do their work. I was a chief that saw potential in people even when they didn't see it in themselves. I elevated those persons who, quite frankly, felt like they didn't have a voice, and that I was a chief that you could always call on anytime, day or night, and I would be there to add any type of support that you need. I believe in being prepared. I believe in working hard, and I believe in elevating all of those who are around me, not only as my coworkers, but as my colleagues.
And then last question that I have, what message would you like to convey to the citizens of Madison as you get ready to leave this position?
Thank you for the opportunity to be here and to live this dream. Some of you probably already know this, but my mother came here in 1976 when I was 2 years old to live with my uncle over on Park Street. And my mother left the South, Northampton County, on a bus to come here. I stayed for a little bit, but was unable to stay here because of finances. I like to imagine that at some point on that bus ride back to North Carolina, she dreamed that one day her son could perhaps live in such a wonderful place that she had an opportunity to visit. And because of this department, I was able to fulfill my mother's dream, and I will forever be grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.